In 2014, a 23-year-old British university student entered a continuous loop of déjà vu that never stopped. His brain convinced him he had already lived every second of his future before it happened. A 2-volt electrical spark applied directly to human brain tissue, patients living inside memories that never actually occurred, and a frontal cortex caught committing fraud in real time. If your brain can instantly fabricate a memory of the present moment, how much of your past is actually real? To solve this mystery, we must go back to October 14th, 1938, inside Operating Room 1 at the Montreal Neurological Institute. Dr. Wilder Penfield stood over a fully awake patient whose skull had been surgically opened under local anesthesia. Penfield believed human brain tissue harbored a physical tape recorder that captured every second of human experience. He picked up a thin glass wand wired to a 2-volt electrical battery. When he pressed the probe against the patient's right temporal lobe, something impossible happened.
The patient did not twitch or scream. Instead, she gasped and said she was standing in her childhood kitchen, listening to her mother call her name.
Penfield lifted the probe. The memory vanished instantly. He touched the exact same neural coordinate again. The memory replayed from the precise same word. Over the next decade, Penfield performed this procedure on over 1,000 conscious patients. In dozens of cases, touching the rhinal cortex did not trigger an old memory, it triggered a violent, overwhelming sensation of déjà vu. Patients looking at the sterile hospital walls screamed that they had seen these exact doctors in this exact room years before the hospital was built. Penfield declared victory. He told the medical community that memory was a perfectly preserved physical film roll inside the temporal cortex. His theory dominated psychology for 40 years, but Penfield had made a fatal error. Penfield thought he had unlocked the sacred archive of human memory. He had actually stumbled onto something much more terrifying: the brain's ability to forge the past on the fly. If memory was a tape recorder, déjà vu was just a scratched tape. But what happens when the tape drive breaks down completely? In March 2000, cognitive neuropsychologist Dr. Chris Moulin opened his clinic doors in Leeds to a patient known in medical literature as AK. AK was an 80-year-old former engineer who refused to leave his house, watch television, or read the morning paper. When his wife handed him the daily newspaper, AK threw it across the room. He swore he had already read every article word for word. When Dr. Moulin brought AK into the testing laboratory, AK refused to take the memory assessment tests. He told Moulin that they had already met yesterday, in this exact room, and asked the exact same questions. Dr. Moulin had never met AK in his life. The newspaper had been printed 4 hours ago. This was not standard déjà vu, the fleeting 3-second glitch, experienced by 65% of healthy adults. This was déjà vu already lived. AK was trapped in a continuous, uninterrupted subjective past. 4 years later, in 2014, a 23-year-old British university student walked into the same Leeds memory unit. He was healthy, had no brain damage, and had taken no drugs. But 3 years earlier, his brain had flipped a switch. Every step he took down the street, every person he met, every email he received arrived, stamped with the absolute cognitive certainty that he had already experienced it.
He was forced to drop out of university. He stopped watching television and listening to music.
Dr. Moulin realized something that shattered Penfield's tape recorder model entirely. Your brain does not retrieve memories whole from a cabinet. Memory relies on 2 totally separate neurological systems. Circuit 1 gathers sensory content, sights, sounds, text. Circuit 2 generates a purely chemical feeling, the feeling of oldness or familiarity. In a healthy brain, Circuit 2 fires only when Circuit 1 matches actual stored data. But in déjà vu patients, circuit 2's valve gets stuck wide open. It stamps every single incoming second of real time with the chemical tag. You have seen this before. The student wasn't reliving his past. His brain was forging a memory of the present moment while it was happening. If the feeling of the past can exist without the past actually happening, then what exactly is stopping your brain from rewriting your reality right now? For decades, neuroscientists could only study déjà vu through post-event interviews. You cannot catch a 3-second brain glitch inside an fMRI scanner by waiting around. Until 2016, when Dr. Akira O'Connor at the University of St. Andrews developed a method to trigger artificial déjà vu on demand. O'Connor placed healthy subjects inside high-resolution fMRI brain scanners and read them lists of related words: bed, pillow, night, blanket, dream. Crucially, he withheld the core umbrella word, sleep. Then he asked the subject, "Did you hear any words starting with the letter S?" The subject correctly answered no. But minutes later, O'Connor sprang the trap. He asked, "Did you hear the word sleep?" The subjects knew logically they had not heard any S words. Yet their brains screamed that the word sleep was intimately familiar. Artificial déjà vu triggered inside the scanner in real time. O'Connor looked at the fMRI readouts, expecting to see the hippocampus glowing like a Christmas tree. If Penfield was right, the temporal memory vaults would be firing intensely, but the hippocampus was dead silent. Instead, the prefrontal cortex, the decision-making, fact-checking center at the front of your skull, was lighting up like a wildfire. This discovery completely inverted our understanding of brain science. Déjà vu is not a memory being recalled. Déjà vu is an active security check. Your rhinal cortex makes a tiny error, misfiring a raw chemical signal that says familiar. Your frontal lobe immediately steps in, cross-references your actual memory archives, finds zero matching files, and flags the conflict. That eerie, uncanny feeling of déjà vu isn't your brain failing. It is your frontal lobe catching a sensory forgery and killing it in real time. The frontal lobe acts as your mind's fraud detective, and in 2014, that detective completely abandoned its post. In the 23-year-old student, his frontal cortex lost the ability to overrule the rhinal cortex's false alarms. Because his internal fraud detective went offline, every false familiarity tag was accepted as absolute truth. Think about what this means for your own conscious mind right now. You believe you remember your childhood birthday parties, your first day at school, or what you ate for breakfast yesterday. But you do not possess a physical tape recorder. You possess a prediction engine that renders sensory signals into a story and stamps it with a feeling of authenticity. Every core memory you hold dear is guilty until proven innocent. When that engine misfires for 3 seconds, you feel déjà vu. When that engine breaks down permanently, reality breaks with it. So, how much of your past is actually real? The terrifying answer is only as much as your frontal lobe verified 5 milliseconds ago. You experienced it today. You looked at a room, heard a phrase, or saw a face, and for one fraction of a second, your head spun with absolute certainty. In 2014, a 23-year-old student didn't just experience a glitch, he became trapped inside the illusion. And if your frontal lobe misses just one misfire today, your entire past resets in a single breath. Déjà vu isn't a glitch in the matrix. It is the only moment you ever get to feel your brain frantically rendering the matrix in real time. If you want to understand the terrifying architecture of human psychology and the dark history of memory experiments, subscribe to Human Code right now.